Hey everyone, welcome to the course. Today we will be starting with the destructuring of an array. So, let's understand what is destructuring. As its name is saying that we are going to separate out something. Okay, so let me tell you that it is an advanced feature of an ES6. Okay, so what it does is that basically it is going to unpack the values from an array. Now, what does that means? It is going to break down the complex data structure into the smaller data structure. In a simpler way, if I have to tell you that, I will say that we are going to separate out some values from an array into a variable. So why do we want to do this? We want to do it because sometime what happen is we have an array. Let's suppose I have already created over here an object of a restaurant where it has menu, categories, location, as you can see it on my screen. Now what do I want to do is I just want to pick up this Italian food. So what I have to do, I don't want to go through all of my array, right? I have to go through this category, but I don't want to do it. So what I will do is I will use destructuring because I need this. I want to use this variable. I want to use this element. So I will pick up this element with the help of destructuring and I will store it in a variable. So how this works, let's understand first of all. So I'm going to create one simple array in the starting. Let's suppose const array is equals to, let's suppose we have 2 3 4 value as it is suggested. Now what do I want is that I want to separate out, you know that how we can separate out an elements from an array. So let's suppose a is equals to array of 0. Now this means that now my a will be storing the value of 2 because it is at 0th position. Now, similarly, I want to take a variable and I want to store the first element. And now, you know, the first one is basically the element which is standing at position 0. Now, it is 1 and 2. So, let's go with all three things, all three elements. So, yeah, this is done. Now, what I have done, look over here. I have created an array which has three elements, or you can say three values, 2, 3 and 4. Now A is having 2. I will write it over here, right? And B is having 3 and C is having 4. Now I have already stored all these things in a separate variable. What I have to do is I will say const. Now I will create an array and I will, let's say, x, y and z. Now these x and y, what these are going to see is it will look for equals to sign. So whenever we see that we have equals to sign and it's equals to array, that means this array values will be assigning to x, y, z all three particular variables. So if you will console dot log xyz. So now let's go live and check this. Okay, so we have already started here, so we can see this, that here it is coming 2, 3 and 4. That means that these 2, 3, 4 is assigned to x, y, z particularly. Now if you will see, when we were destructuring this natural and original array was not disturbed and it is not. So I can show you when we will see console.log array, and here I will write on original array. Okay, you will see that you will get an original array. Refresh it, see, you are getting your original array as same. Now let's understand, once we have done this destructuring, let's move on to next. Now what if I don't want these three, I don't want this three. So what I will do, then at that time, let me just comment out this. At that time, what I will do is I will just remove this y from here and I will write it y over here. Okay. So now why this is there, I will tell you why do we write it like this. If you'll see, it is saying me that there is an unexpected comma. So now let's see why it is saying that. Because you don't have to put over here. That means you are consoling over here. So in console, it does not print the comma thing. So you have to define that in your array. Okay, so now let's suppose I removed y from here and I just put an empty space. Now what it is going to do is, it is going to take x as 2 and it will skip 3 because we have added an extra comma in between. It is going to move to 4. Now let's see what it is printing. It is printing 2 and 4. It is actually x and y. Right. So this is called destructuring. So now if you don't want to pick up 3 or any particular element from an array, you are simply going to put this space over here and don't forget to put a comma. So now let's move to this particular menu of a restaurant. Now what do I want? I want to pick up, let's suppose I want to pick up some of the categories. So how I will do that? Let's suppose I'm going to have one element. So now let's see, it is already suggesting me. What I want to do is I want to pick up my first and second element. Okay, same we did with this particular array. We are now going to look into the categories, that how it will work if we have an array in terms of menu. So how we select a particular element from an object, I have to take out my object name, which is restaurant. Now what do I want to access? I want to access this particular category. So I will put dot categories. Okay. Now let's see what it is doing. It is destructuring the element. Now my editor has already understood, my browser will also understood that equals to is there and there is something which is accessing from an array. That means we need to do some kind of destructure. So now if you will console.log your first and second element, so it is going to print this Italian and pizzeria. So let's see Italian and pizzeria is there. Now, similarly, I don't want pizzeria. I want this vegetarian. So I will just put this comma over. Oh, sorry, not in console. It was just an example that I was showing you. So this you will put. See, you got Italian plus vegetarian. You did not get your pizzeria because it just skipped that part. Skip that element. Now, what do I want is, let's suppose if there is a customer and wants to order something from this particular menu. So what that particular person will do? For that, we are going to have one order. Okay, and in order, see this particular editor is so smart that it is already suggesting me things. So basically there is one extension which I will tell you later on. So start index, because we are going to pick up the element from the starter menu. So I'm going to put it as start index and my main index. Okay, so return it. So from return, what do I want to get? I want to get this particular, let's suppose I want to get this garlic bread and let's suppose pizza from the main menu. So I have two things, start index and main index. Now what do I want to get it in return? I want to get two particular items. So how I will access this? I have to use this, because if you remember, I told you in one of the previous lecture when we were covering our objects, that we need to use this to access the parent element. Okay, so let's suppose starter menu, I am going to have this particular index to pass in the starter menu, and for the main menu, this dot main menu, we are going to pass this main index. Okay, now you are done with this thing. So now let's see why it is giving us the error because of this. Okay, now the error is removed. Now it is returning two items. Now let's see. Till now we have only created a method. We have not destructured anything. Now we will do it. So for that, what do I want is, I want to call the method. So how I will call this method? I will use restaurant dot order. So let's suppose what I told you. I told you that I am going to get this garlic bread from starter menu and I want to pick up the pizza from my main menu. So I'm going to pass these particular indexes, and what I want to do is I want to move it to variables. Now let's suppose my first element I want is going to be my main element, and I want the second item to be my secondary item, which I'm going to pick. Okay, so now let's console this. I will console main and secondary. Put this y over here. Now let's see what we will get in return. See what I told you, that I am going to get a garlic bread and some pizza. So I've separated out two items, ordered two items from the restaurant menu. So this is the kind of destructuring we can do. So let me tell you, if we will not do destructuring, our complexity will increase. How? Because if we will not do destructuring, we will have to hold an extra variable, which is the temporary variable. You want to see how? Let me show you. Let's see. I want to remove this from here. Let's suppose I want to remove all of these from here. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have const a equal, let's give it a name, temp. With temp equals to, what it is going to have is my main. Okay, it will be better if I will put it over here. Const temp equals to my main. Okay, and main equals to secondary and secondary equals to tab. That means I am assigning my main element to temporary element. Now this temporary element is going to hold it. Now secondary to main and temporary again to secondary. So if you will console.log, let's comment out all the consoles so that you can see it clearly. Okay, main and secondary. Okay, so why it is saying that there is an assignment to const is because we have this const and we can't means we can't update that value when we have const. So yeah, see, we have pizza and garlic bread. Can you tell me why in the main you got this particular pizza and in the secondary you got garlic bread, whereas in the main you were getting your this garlic bread and pizza? Because we have switched it. If you have written over here secondary, right, and you have assigned the secondary to main, so it must be opposite. So you can just switch, you can print out secondary and main, it is going to print your garlic bread and pizza. So this was your the concept when you don't use destructuring. Okay, so you know that how we can just wrap the destructuring part in one line, and here I have to use 3 lines of code, plus if you can see I have one temporary variable which is of no use, it is just for holding the value. So okay, So now let's remove all these things from here and understand what will happen if we have nested array, how we will do destructuring in that. So let's suppose I'm going to have one const, and in this const I am going to have, let's suppose, let's have an array, okay, and in this array 2, I'm going to have 5, okay, let's suppose 1, and we have one more array in which I have 4 and 8. Okay, so I have this nested array, okay, array inside array. So how we will do destructuring of this? Let's suppose I have const my I comma j comma k, and I am going to assign this as an array 2, right? Same we did on above. So now let me console I, j and k. So what I will get, I am getting my something is getting print twice. Yeah, so let me just remove this from here also. So you will see we have this 4 and 8. So 4 at index 0 and 8 at 1. So you will see you are getting 5, 1 and an array 4 and 8. This is called your destructuring. Now, you don't want this element, you want to skip it, just skip it. You can just do this and you can put j over here. K is not defined, yeah, so we haven't defined, so we can't use it. See, it is 5, 4 and 8. This particular element, your 5 and this array. Now what if you want to separate out the element from an array? So this means you want to separate out element from this array. So how you will do this? Now let's do that. See, j, let's suppose I don't want j. So what I will do is I want j and comma k. So what do you think? What I will get in my ijk? You got 5, 4 and 8. So 5 is this element with comma. I separated and I skipped 1. Now j is having 4 and k is having 8. So this is how you can separate out your nested array if you want to do destructuring. Now let's see one more thing. Let's suppose I have const and I have, let's suppose, q, r and s, okay, and I want to give it let's suppose 2 comma 3 comma 4, okay, and I want to console these qrs. So what you are getting, see, let's just comment out this. What you will be getting 2, 3, 5, which is 2, 3, 5. Now what if I don't specify this 5? So you will get undefined. Now this undefined means you don't have value over here. But what you can do is you can specify by default value over here. Okay. So now in the output, what you will get? 2, 3 and 1. Let's see. See, you got 2, 3 and 1. This means that your 2 is assigned to Q. And if this 2 is not there, it is going to take 1. So 1, 3, 1. See, 1, 3, 1. Okay. So I hope you have understood the concept of destructuring very well. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. And you do have one assignment to do. Try it, and if you have any problem, you can just put down in the comment section. Okay, thank you so much everyone.